Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Italian Ikozuki podcast. Today, we are working again on serging the grime guards and cake cozies. This time around, we're doing the what do you call them? Today, we're doing the dark serging. I have obviously the POV camera on here, so hopefully it's not too wiggly. I need to find some way to kind of like actually harness it onto my body. When I was in Japan, I did it with the backpack harnesses, so that was a good way to do it. But we'll see. What was I going to say about all of this? Last night we did do a lot of the serging, but for some reason when I swapped the actual when I swapped the white thread or the black thread for the white thread, so basically I put the black thread in, it completely messed up. So I'm actually having to go through and I went through and I redid like 99.5% of the serging that I did last night. And so now we're going to go through and do the rest of the serging. I am hopefully not echoing too badly on the mic today. There was a little bit of feedback last night. I'm still learning how to use this dual cam thing. Literally, I downloaded the software yesterday, and we've just been learning on the fly here because realistically, I want to do this. I've been wanting to do dual cam for a while. Finding the software can be a beast, at least I didn't want to pay for it to start. And so finding something that's like free but will also do what I want of it is difficult, unsurprisingly. But so we're still learning how to use it. Basically, hopefully the feedback won't happen today. If it does happen, I do apologize. It'll switch around when I'm not doing, I'll change the camera around so it's actually sitting in a mount afterwards. But if I put you in the mount on the desk as I'm set up right now, the mount is actually like back here and you can't see nothing. It's boring. So I guess we'll deal with hopefully no or very little feedback today on the actual mic. Part of what I did change around is that the speaker for the iPhone is on the opposite side, so maybe that'll help. I don't know. We'll try a few different things and see what works. Obviously, the collab cam is definitely set up mainly to do guests that call in sort of thing. But I am a guest on my own podcast. That's how it feels like some days. So here we are. We're learning as we go and learning together. As apparently I also needed to learn about my surgery yesterday. So I have my cup of coffee here to the right so that I can enjoy some caffeination in a little bit. And it has cooled down here significantly. It's actually really, really nice outside. I've got the window open. I haven't had a lot of big vehicles go by today because most people have gone out for their camping trips yesterday. And since it's Saturday, we shouldn't have a bunch of commercial traffic on the road either. Not that you can hear them above the surger, that's for sure. But yeah, it's just right. I slept like the best I've slept last night. Last night I slept the best I've slept in like months because I was able to open the window and it was like a cool experience instead of a why do I have the window open experience because it's too hot with it open. But what the other part of it is that I finally figured out what blankets we needed on the bed and stuff like that. I had all our winter blankets on the bed for months, and I was like, why am I so hot in bed? And I was like, oh, you dummy, take the winter comforter and it's a quilt. Take the winter quilt and the winter blanket off and maybe you'll be more comfortable. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Oh, okay. There we go. Alright. Let's get these run through the serger. So my plan was this morning, before I came on the stream, was to get these all done and then be able to do the whole, ooh, we're gonna go over to the machine and sew them now, and that's obviously not happening quite yet. We'll turn around and go to the machine after I'm done serging these. It's just one of those days. Thankfully, it has not been one of those summers. Sometimes that's what happens too. But of course, it's always like when you're in the crunch as well. It's like, oh, why did it happen like now? I need to be, everything just needs to run smooth and straightforward. Thank you. Because otherwise, time is lost. Oh well. There are definitely worse things. So the stream yesterday was me actually prepping these to serge. Obviously we are past that point, which is quite nice, at least. And now we're going to be working on getting the edges finished. And then we will sit down and we will sew them. And I was saying that I was probably going to cut large box bags today, like their interiors, along with their interfacing. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to finish off the knot bags that I've started, because they're like this close to being finished. They are so close. It's not even funny. It's kind of like a situation like, why haven't I just sat down and finished them? I know why. I've been prepping for other shows and all of that, so that's why. So we'll just tick along with these. But yeah, I've already redone the majority of the short edges. And a few, I actually did pick out like the whole serge line that I had done, but honestly that was such a pain in the ass that I just today, or like after the first few, I was like, nope, we're just gonna run it through the serger. There's extra seam allowance in here, so we can afford to lose like the 1/8 of an inch that the serge line actually is. So, plus it was mostly actually in part because it was such a pain to get the thread out, and then it's dry here in Alberta, southern Alberta, even with the rain that we've had recently. And so it was like the thread was like static electricity to my hands and everything like that. It was a very unpleasant sensation. So I was just like, let's just trim this off with the serger. That's why it has knives. So here we are. Lots of super cute fabrics. So these shorter ones are the Cake Cozy. If you're a knitter or crocheter, or you're not a knitter or crocheter, the yarn cake is like a cake you make when you wind it on a cake winder. You can do it with any kind of yarn. You can do it with the hanks that you get at Michael's. You can do it with hand-dyed yarn that you pick up from your indie dyer or local yarn store. Realistically, anything you want that would be in the cake shape. And so what these do is you can wrap it around that yarn cake, and then you can actually work from interior and exterior of the cake, but it helps it get not tangle in your bag, or to just keep it protected without having to actually use a project bag. You can obviously use it as well in a project bag, so if you've got like multiple skeins, you're not getting them all wrapped up together. And then the larger pieces that we're working with here are actually grime guards, which are for embroidering cross stitch for the frames. So I've actually got a perfect example here. This is a grime guard, it goes around the frame. These ones will be quite a bit thicker, so I'm imagining that they're going to come to about here, which means that you'll be able to fit more fabric into it, and you'll also be able to you'll have more of a grip area instead of having to be like right on this edge. Those ones are a little bit too tight, but I was being chintzy with my fabric because I didn't have a serger at that point, and putting two pieces together for that sort of thing with a French seam wasn't going to fly, so I would have to like cut down along basically like the selvage edge in, and so it left me with a bunch of weird cuts that just, it didn't work. So I didn't make grime guards for a while until I got the serger, and this is going to be like the relaunch of the grime guard for me. basically they're a large cake cozy, which is the insane part of this, which is kind of cool too. So that is the one that I just showed you is for a 9-inch frame. We're going to be focusing for grime guards on 8-inch and 8x11 Q-snap frames. Simply because that's the guide that I was using. That was the lengths that were suggested, or at least what she commonly used. And the 8-inch hoop is a nice length, or a nice size. 9-inch will be easy to do. I just didn't have the mental capacity to do the math last night, so here we are. Although I'm pretty sure I know how much you would actually end up needing to do for the 9-inch. Put my contacts in to go for a walk, and now I'm kind of regretting that I'm still wearing them for working. So I might need to run upstairs and just pop my contacts out here soon. Alright, we're kind of like in the middle of these, so I'm going to try and find an end and work from there, hopefully. There we go. That'll work, I think. Oh, these already have one side done. Oh, that's the old side. Okay, that's why. These cranes are amazing. The texture on the fabric is so cool in these ones. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's the short edge, and this is the one that needs to be redone. So we'll start there on this purple one. And that's how I was doing it earlier this morning. Okay, looks like we're gonna flip-flop between what we're doing for the edge, but that's okay. Let's just do what's easiest today, to be honest. Okay, and what piece is gonna come next? This one. So these are obviously cake cozies. They're quite a bit shorter fabric. I was just like, how did I end up serging so many without realizing that basically the fabric had bunched up and gathered after I'd serged it. It was super annoying. Just annoyed with myself of how didn't you catch this last night? These aren't going to work this way. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, or if you're watching this after this has been recorded, obviously, throw them in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. Also, I do know that these are getting more and more successful, or at least the shorts are, because I got my first hate comment and it was promptly reported. I was very glad that I have the monitoring on for it, so it's I don't need to deal with this today. You are just going to get reported. So these are mostly going to be in prep and available for Knit City in Vancouver, which is September 22nd to 24th, with the market being September 23rd and 24th. It's going to be kind of my big, mostly big knitting event this year. I've done a couple pop-ups with Ancient Arts Yarns that I was up at Edmonton for gathering threads, but Knit City's always been my biggest show for the year, so that's what we're going to be heading towards. I'm super excited that it'll be a nice drive this time of year, which is always good, and it's always a good show. And this year they are not doing any timed entrances. It's all going to be it won't be timed. So they've got Saturday, Sunday passes available, and then they also have a weekend pass available as well. So make sure if you have makers in the Vancouver area that you'd like to see for the yarn community, to stop on by. All their information's on their website, which is knitsocial.ca. Okay, I'm just trying to keep that stitching out of there. There we go, or that tail out of the serging. Yeah, it would have been a nightmare to pick this thread out from like the grime guards, that's for sure. Doing the cake cozies and the short ends was enough, so. All right. There we go. Okay, we're getting there. We're almost back to where we were when I finished last night. But yeah, I started to fight the machine last night, and I'm like, I was getting tired. I'm just like, do you know what? When the machine starts fighting back, sometimes it's better just to step away. Even though I wanted to continue to work to get those done last night, I was just like, nope, we're going to step away and we'll finish this tomorrow. And obviously, since I had to redo so much work, that was the best decision to make. As sad as it was last night. All right. We're almost there. And if you've been watching me do my lives, yes, I am chain piecing my serging as well. I chain piece pretty much everything. It's a hack that I learned from reading a quilting magazine of all places. And so basically it just means that you line them up as close as you can together. Just going to clean some of this fluff out because we've gotten to the point where it's starting to impede my machine. Ugh, that is a lot of fuzz. Partly why I think I probably should go pull my contacts out. Swap to my glasses so it doesn't get stuck on the contact. All right, a little bit of coffee. And then we'll go back in and we'll do the other side. Start with these little cheap peppy birds. So the grime guards are all new cuts because it's very rare to have a grime guard cut left over, or at least I will have some that I can use, but most of them, basically what I've done is I've set them aside for these might be handles. So that's where most of the leftover grime guards are, but these are all new cuts. The cake cozies, most of them are, actually I made quite a few from the offcuts from big bags yesterday, but they originally were to use up scraps from knot bags, so that's where they originated. And so it's like this cake cozies are definitely, they're supposed to be scrap buster products. And I think I've only cut a few cake cozies that were actually not scrap projects. The cake cozy, like I said earlier, just wraps around the yarn so that it keeps it cozy and keeps the ends in and contained a little bit better. All right. There we go. I'm excited to get these actually under the machine and hemmed. How I used to do this is I used to actually hem it in my machine, and I have since decided that was not worth it. The serging works because then I fold it under and stitch it down. So when we turn around to work on the machine, I will actually do it with the white thread first. We'll work on the white thread stuff first. I'm just gonna clip that, get out of here. It's actually gonna go back onto the sewing table for now. Anyway, yeah, we'll start with the white thread because even more than whether it's a serger or a sewing machine, I just don't like changing my thread until I absolutely need to. So I'm thinking what we'll do is we'll do the white grime guards and cake cozies, and then after that I will pull the knot bags out and we'll finish the knot bag installations and do their top stitching. And then we can swap threads and we can do the black hemming and top stitching. Well, hemming for the cake cozies and grime guard, and then we can do the top stitching for the knot bag so that they're ready for Knit City as well. Alright, come on through, cake cozy. Go. Now, yes, I will have to go in and actually trim the serger threads for a lot of this afterwards, obviously, but that is a future me problem, even if future me is in 30 minutes. That's still the future. That one is not done. Okay, so that's got to be clipped off. Do I suggest reaching that far into your serger? No, I do not. I'm taking my foot off the pedal so that I don't catch myself accidentally. There we go. Sorry, going radio is silent. Anyway, just trying to concentrate on not getting my fingers caught in this one. I don't know why this one scares me so much more than my industrial machine, but it kind of does. Granted, I do have that little base open, but the thing that's been happening is this hook has been loosening and it will not stay in the correct position. So I'm opening the hatch so that it doesn't damage the machine or itself, because it goes click, 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 click against it all the time. Alright, there we go. That's resurged now. One thing I do wish that like the industrial and domestic machines had was like the serger thread style for the bobbin. It's like, it's the one thing that seems to be the same size no matter if you have a domestic or industrial machine, is the size of the bobbin. So you're always having to wind bobbins. And it annoys the heck out of me. I'm like, how has it never happened that someone's made a larger bobbin, especially for the like manufacturing machines, like the industrial machines? It's like, how? Why has this never happened? Maybe it has, I don't know. Maybe it's just the ones that I have access to this to haven't had a bobbin upgrade. Could be. It's possible. Some of these fabrics I haven't even like cut bags out of yet, like this Sassy Cat with strawberries actually, but I was like, it needs to show up somehow. So grime guards it is. It's also a good size print for a product like this because it's like the size of the fabric is not very large. There's a lot of it lengthwise, but there's not much of it up down. So alright, we're getting there. I don't know why these are getting so tangled up down here, but apparently they are. Pull that out again. Like that. Come here, Tails. You don't want to actually be surged in. Thank you. Kit Cozy. This is Sassy Cat Amongst Roses on blue because of the black cat. All the black cat products are Sassy Cat fabrics because I have an itty bitty 9-pound black cat and she's the sassy cat, sassiest cat I've ever met. And that's like 9 pounds if you could get her wet, which is not happening. Even our Norwegian forest cat, who is supposed to apparently like water, will not do it. I don't know if we just didn't introduce him at an early enough age or what, but this is Sassy Cat Amongst Roses on purple. I really like that purple background. Then we got the Cats Are Back in Town on dusty pink, dusty rose kind of color. I didn't know what else to call this, but Cats Are Back in Town seemed like a good one. So there's 3 different colorways of that. There's like this pink, there's a teal, and then there's an off-white. And then this is Tuxedo Cat in Patchwork Windows, because the little frames around all these pieces reminded me of a certain quilt, patchwork quilt technique. And then obviously the Tuxedo Cats. But I really like this colorway with like the teals and that like yellow lime. It's really nice. Get that out of the way. So satisfying when it just like clips the edge perfectly. I also really like the sound of the serger when it's running correctly. It's like such an ASMR sound for me. I don't know why, but it sounds so different from the actual like industrial machine. It's ridiculous. Sorry, I'm looking over towards the chat, just making sure there's no questions to answer. There we go. Also, so the picture that I'm seeing on screen makes this machine much more vibrant than it actually is. The machine itself is less of that bright orange. It's not like crush orange, it's more like creamsicle orange. Same as like the orange in this. So apparently this streaming software likes to pick up like the warm tone of the oranges. Yeah, come here. I know there's static. There we go. Alright, we're just about through the last of these guys. This is exciting. That last one that I just stitched, the cats with the canned food, is really funny. It's called, there's a can on it that's Osakana Heaven. And Osakana is actually fish, so it's fish heaven, which every time I think of it makes me giggle. Move these out again because apparently it is actually wrapped around some of the mechanisms. I swear I cleaned this little trap out here this morning. Took my scissors and like used them like tweezers, which is exactly what I'm going to do now again. Like that, maybe. There, good enough. Should probably take some compressed air to it after this session. Okay. Pull this to the side so it's not getting caught in the stitching. Last three, looks like. we're done with the serging part at least. And obviously we'll need to clip everything because of the chain piecing. Okay, I'm going to just put the this to be right back, just so I can like move everything around without making you super nauseous, hopefully. And when we come back, I'll have kind of an overhead view-ish of the sewing machine and then a side view of myself and the sewing machine. So give me one moment and we'll just do the be right back here. All right, I am back. Sorry about that. So we've got kind of like the overview here of the actual stuff that we'll be doing in the machine, because the machine's right here, and then at the side view where you can also kind of see the machine, but it's mostly so you can see me and my chatting. So let's just turn that a little bit more this way and keep it out of the way. I decided not to go do my contacts. That might have been a bad decision, but eh. I'm going to focus on trimming and getting the white serged items ready to go into the actual... Sorry, I'm also going to move that little viewer count thing over to the other side. There we go. Anyway, I'm going to do the white stuff first, and then we'll go through and do the dark stuff for stitching later after this. Mostly because I just don't feel like trimming both of them at the same time. We'll trim them just before we actually are going to do it, or like sew them down. Now I might need a whole big massive handful of clips. I'm not 100% sure. how I'm going to do this exactly. I think what I'm going to do is probably seam roller them, but I do have clips if I need them as well. So, all right. Yeah, probably should have changed my contacts out. Hold on. Okay, just tidy up my sewing desk a little bit because I'm on a different project now and I don't need some of this stuff. Whew, that was loud. Sorry. Need to move the awls around. I've got like a little so this is a very useful little diagonal pen holder that I got from a Japanese supply store in Calgary. And so it holds a bunch of the stuff that I need around the desk, but I don't necessarily want on the desk. So, seam rippers, awls or stilettos, which basically I think they're the same thing. It just depends on how you're using it. I'm using it more as an awl than a stiletto, so there's that. All right, I've got a message here I need to check. Oh, okay. I will answer that later. My husband was texting me, but he knows that I'm on stream, so. All right. So what we need to do is we need to take all of this. Okay, sorry. I'm going to flip the camera here because I think you're going to have a better view if I do it. Yes, there we go. That's a better view. And then this is the one that, yeah. So what we need to do is we need to clip all these little threads here. And then we'll be able to go through and actually sew them down. So I'm going to grab my thread catcher. My thread catcher is from 2 needles and some thread. This is the thread catcher. Show that actually on the, and then this is the weight that actually holds it onto the desk for me. There are certain things I will never make, and thread catchers is one of them because 2 needles and some threads does an amazing job on them. So now we're going to, sorry, I'm just trying to find where the camera is. Like I said, major learning curves with this dual camera business. So I'm going to trim those off like that. I have a feeling I probably could kind of sew them in and that would be fine as well, but we're going to trim them. Just because that is apparently the mission I'm on today. So I'm going to trim that there as well. Right here and right here. Whew. I should have committed to a nap instead of a stream today, apparently. And you know what? I'm actually going to change the camera view as well. What I really like about this is that I can do that on the go here. Oh, not start and stop video. I just want to change the camera view. That is also wrong. There's the button. We want to do the back dual wide, I think. Nope, one more. We want the triple wide or something like that. Back triple cam. Ultra wide. Yeah, there we go. Now you can actually see more, and I'll just shift you shimmy shimmy here so that you can actually see where I'm working here. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Okay. I figured that was probably going to be the camera, but I wanted to try the other one to see if it had a better view or not, but apparently not. Now, could I do this clipping over on the other desk? Yes, but we're not going to today. It really doesn't matter where I do it as long as I get it done, so. All right. I really like this fan fabric. This is an offcut from the knot bags. Super cute. Very directional. There we go. And this is the slow down point for the cake cozies, is all the trimming. Although actually adding elastic in takes quite a while as well. A surprising amount of time. But it's like, this shouldn't take as long as it does. And it does. But that's okay. I should actually grab a cake cozy and make sure I know how deep of hem we're going to do on it. So I will stand up and grab that after I've done all this clipping. And then we'll see where we get from there. Clip, clip, clip. Actually, I'm pretty pleased with how much I got done, considering that I've only been on stream for 40 minutes. So, that I got all those dark ones re-serged or finished serging is awesome. Go macaroni critters on white, which is gonna be is super cute already. I'm excited to see how these bags come together because I'm pretty sure Paula actually ordered large box bags in the macaron critters. And obviously there's some that I miss a little bit of the thread on, so we'll just make sure that those get clipped as I find them. And then just trim everything down. I know that the hem on the old Grime guards was quite deep, so I'll compare that and see where we need to be for these ones. And the guide that I used actually had quite deep hems on them as well, so no, this isn't necessarily my usual content. It's a little bit more my usual content than Obi wallets and stuff like that, though. Part of the reason why I ended up not able to stream the rest of those Obi wallets is they were fighting back so hard on me that I had to use like all my concentration to finish them. And so that's why I have most of the process on the stream, but not all of it. I think I did end up recording some of that though afterwards instead of like, so that I wasn't having to talk and actually do the work at the same time. I just realized you can't really see my face. There, that's a bit better. So, just going through and trimming off the surgeons here. The next big project I want to do over the winter is I actually do want to sew my husband a hoodie. The hoodie that looks the best on him is like a raglan zip hoodie, which is surprisingly difficult to find. So it's gotten to the point where it's just like, okay, I think what I'll do is I'll draft it from one of the hoodies that he really enjoys, and then I'll make it, and then like the portion that wears out the fastest isn't even like the ribbing or anything like that, which if that was the case, it'd be easy to replace. But it's the fabric behind the pockets. So I'm gonna have to like reinforce the pockets. So it's like this section here on the pocket, not the front section, the back section, I guess. Towards like the body seam, side seam. And they're hard to find to replace. So I found a supplier for the fabric that I really like. They're in Calgary, which is awesome. I've already got the fabric. I've had the fabric since I had the serger, basically. And that's going to be something I'm going to tackle over the winter. Granted, I will be also sewing a significant amount over the winter time because I don't want to have to take all of my summertime to make stuff for Knit City like I have had to do this year. So I feel like it just, it's good, but it feels like it just hasn't stopped this year yet, which is awesome. I really appreciate it. But I am very ready to be like through Knit City because I have a 20-foot booth and I do not have 20 feet worth of stock. And that's the difficult part right now is, excuse me, having the amount of stock that I need to fill that space. I like having the 20-foot booth though because it's significantly easier access than the 10-foot booth, including like a corner booth. And that includes like strollers, wheelchairs, all of that. And I find that it does showcase the products a little bit better than having the 10 by 10 and being like basically just like inundating the booth with product. All right. We're getting there. I think we're about 2/3 of the way through this thread clipping. And then I'll figure out how large a hem we want. We need a certain amount because the elastic that I use is 1/4 inch elastic. So we'll see. Just realized I've actually got black elastic for some of these this time too, which will be awesome. All right, we're just about there. I'm so excited to have these grime guards done and like re-entering the product line. It's exciting. It's been a few years since, I think I haven't done grime guards really since 2018, 2017 maybe even. So like 5 to 6 years, that's nuts. But like I said, I also I just didn't have I didn't have the equipment that I need to make the larger grime guards. Granted, I'm not doing larger grime guards right now anyway, but that's mostly time crunch, not inability to do so anymore. Alright, so some of these corners are a little bit loose, but I'm not going to worry too much about it because honestly all of this is going to get trapped in a hem, and it's also going to get trapped in the actual like sewing once we've added the elastic in. Good. Oops, sorry. That's a wobbly camera we don't need. Some of these fabrics are absolutely spectacular. Like I really, really like this fabric. I really liked it when I saw it in Tokyo, but like I really like it now that I'm making up products from it. All right, there's that Osakana Heaven. Cats are back in town on the off-white. Clip, clip, and clip, clip, clip. Yeah, so that tells me you probably want to do, yeah, with a 1/4 inch elastic, I need enough room to put the elastic and also like not run into stuff. Go. It's been a while since I've made new cake cozies, so I'm just like, what did I do before? I know the cutting length and the width, but I don't remember the sewing part of it, that's for sure. It's kind of the same as the needle stashes I need to reacquaint myself with and like make some needle stashes and notions pouches as well. It's kind of just a restock on everything, especially with new fabrics now, because obviously you need to have all the products in all the fabrics you can conceive of. All right, so we're all done with the thread catcher, so I'm going to move it out of the way. It actually sits on my windowsill really well. And I'm pretty sure most of these are going to be like the same depth of hem. But let me grab the older grime guard, and I'm pretty sure the foot that I was using on this was like a 1/2 inch. Man, the hem on this is actually kind of terrible. It's like a mess. But it does look like it's about a 1/2 inch. So it would have like dun dun dun. Okay, so there's the inch mark. Yeah, it would have taken a 1/2 inch of fabric at least. So I think we can do like 3/8 of an inch. It doesn't need to be over that 1/4 inch. So let's see. I think with the cake cozies I was doing like a 1/2 inch. I think that is a 1/2 inch. Close enough. So in this case, I think we're going to go through and we're going to clip it. Should I press it? Probably, but once it's sewn down, you won't be able to tell the difference. So what I'll basically do is I'll line up the two ends and we'll do clips on the ends, and then we'll fix it up in the middle. This is the F around and find out, I guess. Portion of these. I guess that's the serging part too at this point. So this is kind of the tedious, monotonous part. We're not doing any sewing. It's just clipping. It's kind of like pinning. But in this situation, I definitely need to do the pinning because otherwise you end up with products that just don't work. Right. So I'm going to go across, and I'm going to do a 1/2 inch on both these, and I will also do a 1/2 inch on the cake cozies, just for continuity and like Alright, there it is there. One down. Quite a few to go. And then the easy part of this, actually, yeah, so like adding the elastic in and then sewing the edges of it is quite easy comparatively. Although the other thing is it feels like I'm guessing at a 1/2 inch pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Clip here, clip there. I'm gonna have to find my box of clips, which I think is, oh yeah, it's just behind me. So it'll just take me a moment to actually track it or pull it out. I'll use up the clips that are on my sewing desk first though, and then we'll do that. There we go. So right now we're just going through and clipping the cake cozies for use so I can sew them. That does not look like a 1/2 inch seam allowance, but it is. That's actually closer than some of the others. Okay, it feels like that SpongeBob meme, gazillion hours later, 2 seconds later. It's okay. All right. Yeah, I was hoping to be able, I was hoping that I was going to be able to start the stream with this instead of having to like resurge so much of those dark. Like last night, the ideal was to finish the dark serging, the serging with the black thread. And then like this morning I could have started sewing on these right away, but that was not in the cards. It's fine. It's just annoying when like when you're in production mode and you just need things to like tick along like that, and then the machines refuse to do what you need them to do. Such is the life. Probably means I do need to take it in for a service, which maybe I will schedule for post Knit City, just in case there's any more things I want to serge before Knit City. Doubt that there will be though. I think this is going to be the main production of this. And then I'll go in and, because I have other stuff I need to make. So we need to get Kato bags finished, and large box bags, and we need to restock on small box bags because I'm down to like 11 large box bags and I think 23 small box bags, and that's just, you guys love those. So it's not enough. And then I want to throw a few other things in like key fobs and scrunchies and stuff like that too. So all right, I need the other clips, so I'm just going to turn and grab them. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see if this works out as smoothly as it is in my head. As long as I don't crash my frames down, we're good. Okay, and that's completely unrelated to anything I'm doing right now. And that is a pom-pom for the cats. Dalia absolutely loves chasing pom-poms. So I figured this out because I bought a bunch of pom-poms to make my kiddos a dress-up skirt. And there was a lot of pom-poms in the bag, and they kept getting spilt, and Dalia keeps like hunting them, and she's always so proud of herself for like hunting these pom-poms. It's super cute. She'll go around and do the like proud huntress, meowing to be like, hey, look at what I caught. Adorable. Yeah, I can tell that folks don't quite like this as much. The viewer count keeps going up and down and up and down and up and down. It's kind of like, what are you doing? Just clipping on screen. But here's the thing about the streams is that they keep me on track, even better than like recording myself. I don't know why, but whatever psychological trick I need to do. The only thing I miss about doing the lives and not having access to my phone is I am not listening to nearly as many audiobooks. So I think what I need to start doing is, at least when my husband is home, I will stream as much as I can, and then when he's not home, I'll just do my evenings without, or just the evenings will be the streaming instead of like 2 or 3 times in a day. So just going along and clipping. I have a combination of Wonder clips and then cheaper clips that I ordered off of Amazon. I have purchased about 400 clips in the last couple of years, and I always run out. In part, my kiddos steal them and play with them, or they'll dump this bin out, or the cats will dump this bin out, and so it's just, it can be quite a bit to try and keep track of the clips. Alright, so this grime guard does need a little bit more space. We'll just move a couple things out of the way. I just realized I should actually be clipping in my tags along this as well, so we'll do that before we start sewing. These are all cotton, so it's at least that part is easy. The cotton linen blends start to get a little bit too heavy typically for this sort of thing, and they just don't look nice once you add the elastic in. So I typically I've decided that I'm only going to make these in the cottons. There we go. So we're just going along, and we're going to clip in the hem. And then once we have the hems clipped for all these white serged grime guards, we'll go through and sew them. And then the next one we'll do is we'll go through and finish. So we're going to do grime guards, cake cozies, and then I'm going to finish the white stitch knot bags. And then we'll switch over to the black thread and we'll do the same. Oh, excuse me, for the black thread. I'm just going to pull a bunch of labels like that. I don't know how many I actually need. I'm not going to count today. A lot. This will probably be enough for the white ones, or the like white thread ones, and then we'll do more for the dark thread ones if we need to. So I'm just going to go through and clip them so that they're just ready to go, and we'll throw them into the ones that we've already clipped to, because otherwise I will forget. Excuse me, and I can put them in at the end seam, but actually I can't. They have to go in this hem, the elastic hem, so I don't think this is enough, but that's okay. Just going along. So I use the pinking shears so that the top portion, these are all satin ribbon, so I don't want the ribbon to actually like fray, or at least I want to reduce the fraying, so that's why I pinking shear them. I did take my pinking shears in to be like sharpened the other day, but it does, I can't tell if he did a very good job or not. He did an amazing job on my proper shears and our kitchen knives, which we'd never taken in. We'd had them for like 9 years, and that was the first time that we've taken them in for sharpening. But I don't know if he's done a very good job on my pinking shears, so actually it looks like it's mostly, I just need to be cutting further up the blades rather than closer to the tips. Alright, almost there. And I'll clip it into this grime guard, and then we'll clip the other side, and then I'll pull the cake cozies that we've completed and throw labels in them so that it's done as well. So I used to get these from a place called Finer Ribbon. They were out of Quebec, and they have closed with no word of warning before they did. Like, hey, stock up before we're done. So now I'm in a little bit of a rock and a hard place, so I need to find a new label supplier. I think it's a good time maybe to like redo some of the stuff, but I really want to do something that still includes like the cat like this. But I don't know. The person that I used to purchase off of Etsy still has their shop, so maybe I'll go back to them. It's just that the people in Quebec ended up being significantly cheaper, which might be part of the reason why they're out of business now. I don't know. I was just kind of like someone in one of the Facebook groups I'm in for, I think it's for MLM bags, said they're in Canada and they're looking for like a label supplier, and so I said finer ribbon, and they're like, well, their website says that they're closed, and it's kind of like the shocked Pikachu face, because I was like, oh, okay, that came out of nowhere. It would have been nice to have at least like a month's notice, or like get your last order in before we close, sort of thing. But no. Oh well. I am well stocked for the next I probably have one more season. Probably next year I'll have to reorder, so that's good at least, but super annoying. Okay, so there's the cake cozy done. We'll go through and we'll pin tags in here as well. And then while no one's here, I will take a drink of my coffee. Because apparently I should have taken a nap today. Weekends are for napping, right? Went for a nice long walk this morning. And the weather has cooled down significantly, so we're able to actually do that pleasantly. It's actually at the point where it's starting to get cold now in the mornings, which it's like, I know August does that shift every year, but we were like 33 degrees, give or take a bit, like 3 days ago. And so it's just like this huge shock to the system that it is so cold now. And what I mean by so cold is like 7 degrees. It's still above zero. I'm not looking forward to winter this year, that's for sure. It's gonna be one of those times where it's just like, ugh. Nice thing is we do have a trip to Disney World in January, which is good. It'll be like a good time to get away from winter. Even, well, it depends. Last year, winter started fairly early, and then it got milder, and it came back. Sometimes it starts early. Sometimes it doesn't start till January, so we'll see how it goes. Because realistically, our winter temperatures can run from like October through to like May, basically. Alright. We are all nice and clipped in. Oh, excuse me for the grime guard. This light is still pulling around, so it's not properly set in my sewing machine. The sticky on it doesn't work anymore, so. Alright, now have a little bit more coffee again. Nice cold coffee. Ugh. The cream had like congealed on top of it. Gross. Okay. Oh, there's another end clip here. Oh dear. Wonder if I should just kind of do them at the same time. Won't necessarily make me faster, but I will be done. Except I'm going to flip it and do it. Probably take me about the same amount of time. There we go. I don't really know what to talk about while I'm doing this. It takes some concentration. Just clipping the hems into the grime guards. And we're doing the cake cozies as well. Doing this one a little bit different. I'm doing both sides at once. I feel like I should actually just throw some clips on the desk so that I can just kind of scoot them off instead of having to reach into the box every time, but it's probably better to have them in the box right now because there's not a lot of room on the sewing table. Actually, yeah, it's faster just to do one side at a time, so that's what we'll stick to. This side. Alright, if the yarning gets much worse, I am going to call it off and go upstairs and have a quick nap. Because that might get a little bit ridiculous. There's like a whole pile here that's taunting me, and I'm like, okay, let's see how many things we actually have here. We've got one large grime guard. I'm going to split them up into their piles so that I'm just working all at one size at a time. 2 large grime guards. Some macaron critters on gray. What else do we have? We've got 3 large grime guards. That's Sassy Cat with strawberries on it. There's the smaller Sassy Cat with moons. So 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Typically I split them up into piles of 5 just because then I'm not constantly having, like, recounting them. There's 1 cake cozy, 2 cake cozy, 3 cake cozy, 4 cake cozy. Thread on the 5th cake cozy. There's a nice small grime guard. 1, 2, 3 small grime guards. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is motivational for me because then I'm able to like adjust. I don't have to keep counting them over and over again. I can just sew. But it gives me a good idea of how many there are and what my progress is. This is what I do with pretty much every product that I make. So they go into piles of 5 like this. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 4. There's 5. 6. Oh, that one needs to be resurged. So that's what happened to some of them last night and why I actually had to end up serging the black ones again. So that one's just going to be set aside. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2. Oh, that's a long. 3, 4. So 14 cake cozies to do. 14 cake cozies. Oh, that one actually needs to be serged again as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 large grime guards, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 small grime guards. And now we're set to just kind of tick along, and I don't have to think about it too much. Not that I really had to think about it before, but like again, this is just motivation of like, hey, look at how far you've gotten through these, or like, hey, you still have this many left and you don't have to count over and over and over because that's a waste of time. Even though I technically, again, don't need to, I like to. So, and sometimes the other reason I do that is because then I know, like if I'm working on large and small box bags on the same day, I'll have the stack of small box bags counted out like that, and then the stack of large box bags counted out like that, and then it's just pattern keeping basically. Clears up some of my mental space, I guess would be the better description. Okay, let's prep one of the labels. Pop it under, clip it, continue on. Sit up a little bit closer to the desk and not be quite so hunched over. Okay, threads out of there. And I'm gonna put the label in, and then we'll clip it. And I do apologize for the radio silence. I know that can be bad, but it's also hard to think of what to talk about right now. Especially if you're a returning viewer, you know that all my fabrics are hand selected in Japan as an exchange student over there, so I go back to my main area. Well, at this point I go to Kyoto and Tokyo. Used to be a shop in Osaka that was amazing. It was a pneumatic tube shop, which was super cool, but they have closed down in the last few years. So my main sources for fabric are Nomura Tailor and Nomura Tailor House in Kyoto, and then Tomato Fabrics in Tokyo, which thankfully none of them have shut down. So I can't imagine what I would do if they were shut down. I guess I would find another supplier online, but the story's better if I go over and buy it. The other thing that I've talked about before is that it's nice to be able to go purchase myself. Besides the fact of cutting out the cost of the middleman, I'm able to view the colors and feel the textures and everything like that in person, which makes a huge difference in what I actually purchase. There were some fabrics this year that were ridiculously adorable, and when I say this year, I mean in May. They were little otters, but they were way too light a fabric to actually use for bags, for them to be usable. So that's something that I wouldn't have been able to tell that online, just by looking at it. I don't know how you would even communicate that online. That's something that you wouldn't feel unless you actually touch the fabric. But that's another reason that it's extremely useful for me to actually go over and purchase it there. I'm also not working in quantities large enough to do bulk purchases, bolt purchasing. I would get bored very quickly if I had to work through 15 meters of the same fabric. I don't work in high enough quantities for that, which is a benefit for you as well, because that means that there might be 1 or 2, maybe 3 bags made out of the same fabric that you're using. And that's kind of the main reasons behind the Japanese fabrics. A, I was an exchange student. B, they have super cute fabrics. C, when I started making project bags, there weren't very many of us in Alberta making project bags, but when I started making project bags, there came to be a lot more competition, and we were all kind of drawn from the same fabric pool. Spoon flower wasn't really a thing yet, and honestly, even now going to Japan and purchasing fabric there is cheaper than buying a lot of spoon flower fabric, so that's the ridiculous part. There are some super cute ones on spoon flower though. I actually ordered some for my eldest's curtains when we were in our old house. I need to refit them to the current window that we have in this house for them. Eventually. It'll all happen eventually. need to actually still paint their rooms and stuff like that. So maybe once we paint the rooms, I'll resize the curtains for the new window. So I think they're wide enough panels. I think I actually need to like make them narrower panels than they were before, because the shape of the window is very similar, which is good. All right, so now, just like that, I know that I have 5 left, well, 6 left, 5 left after this one of the smaller grime guards to clip. And once they're clipped, we will shift to doing knot bags. And then I think I'll set these aside for the week, and I will get my friend to come out and help me pull elastic. Maybe I can convince my husband to do it. Can use a bodkin and just pull it through. Flip it over, just about there. All right, and turn it this way and do the same thing from the other, for the top of the piece basically. So the point of the grime guard is that you can wrap it around your embroidery or cross stitch frame, and it's something that's easy to, a grime guard is like literally what it says. It's supposed to guard against grime. And so what it would be doing is it's easy to take on and off the frame, so that if it does get dirty, especially on those longer projects, you're able to wash it. So all of these are machine washable. You could air dry it as well, or machine dry it. I usually suggest air drying it, but that's for the project bags where you need to like preserve the integrity of the interfacing. And I find that it's really the dryer that kills off the integrity of the interfacing. But these have all been washed and dried in hot water, hot air, so that the potential shrinkage has already been dealt with, hopefully. All right, we're just about there for this one. Just gonna throw it there, fold it up, put it on. 5 more of this size to go. Yeah, that bunching was starting to happen on the white as well. I think we're okay to sew most of these. That one is not good though, because like so what basically happened is it pulled the chain stitch out. That's what it looks like, and so now I need to go back in and redo them. That's disappointing. All right, for now, this is why I have a timeout bin. A lot of these are probably going to end up in timeout, just because it's like, I don't want to take the time to fix you right now. Although the gem, oh my goodness, like yeah, like that one too. Curses. Okay. So I will probably be sitting down with the serger again later on. We'll finish as much as we can right now, because I do want to get the knot bags going as well. And a lot of these are still okay, but it is extremely annoying that I have to go through and redo like probably about 80% of the work that I did last night. I've already done the dark top stitching. It's fine. They don't need to be redone at this point. But now apparently I need to go in with the white thread. I don't know what it was. It must have been my tension was off or something last night. So all these fabrics are about the same weight, so that shouldn't have been the problem. But I am just coming back to using the serger after a year, so it's very extremely likely that my tension is off, mostly because the kids like to play with the dials on it too, to the point of like them falling off. So that's a pretty good indication that my tension is off. Oh well. Oh, I don't want the tag on that side, because that would be upside down. All right, we're going to put it on the right side upside. These macaron critters are super cute for a grime guard. They're like a good size. I call them critters because it's like a bunch of different rodents. So there's hamsters and rabbits, and I think there's gerbils, and they're just adorable. and they're all kind of squished in little macaron shells. That's why the macaron critters. All right, we got 1, 2, and then we've got 2 more of this size to do, and then I think it was something like 4 of the big grime guards to do, and then a whole stack of, I think there's 14 cake cozies left to do. Yeah, so in this case, I will probably research that as well. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah. That needs to just be completely researched on that corner too. So we will into the timeout pile. This one's been redone. I don't know how this one survived or why it's good, but you know, take it where I can get it. All right. So we'll fold it over, clip it. At least we know that I know that the dark top stitching ones or dark serger ones are good because they definitely had a much like larger fail rate last night than the white serger thread ones did. So we're just going to go along and clip the hem on these. So we've serged the edges and then we clip the hem. I sew the hem and then they get the air elastics run through them for the grime guard. There we go. This Sassy Cat fabric, Sassy Cat on Moons, the stars on this one are absolutely spectacular. They've got like the gold highlighting on them and they're so good. I love Japan's like use of the highlighting on the fabrics is so good. Like it's just nice. And it doesn't seem to wash off in the wash, or at least it doesn't on the first wash, which is good. And from what I can tell from bags that I've used with it, it doesn't wear off very quickly either. It's just done so well. All right, so there's all of those ones done. And then yeah, there's 1, 2, 3. Let's check the quality on the stitching. Nope. That doesn't pass. That one is also a mess. You can see that's like kind of wavy and gross. So that's going to go into timeout and get resurged. Same as the strawberry cats. Yeah, no, that's no good. Okay. And how are you doing? No, macaron critters need to be done. And oh, we'll just redo all of those. I don't know how half of these turned out fine and the other half didn't. Okay, cake cozies, you're good. You're good. You're okay. Yeah, you can be used. You're good. You're good. I think. No, you're not. Out of here. This one's okay. Maneki Neko's fine. Cats are back in town. Fans are fine. Bumblebees. Maiko. I'm just checking to see if there's any kind of like wiggle or gather on this. But I think good. Yeah, we're all good. Okay. Okay. So we'll get these cake cozies clipped. And then we'll head into making, to actually sewing them down. At least with the cake cozies, I only need like 3 clips, which is awesome. Makes it faster to get everything ready. It's a lot less fabric, so that's why we're able to do fewer clips too. All right. Fold the bunny butt over the actual label. Last one in here. Like that. All right. So right now we're clipping the hems in for cake cozies. I've just discovered that a third of the white cake cozies and grime guards also need to be reserged. My serger threw a conniption last night, and I really noticed it on the black thread serged items. But I did not notice that it was already throwing a tantrum on the white thread serged items. So yeah, they're in timeout right now. Right now I'm just working on getting the ones that passed clipped so that we can get them sewn, and then we'll move on to sewing knot bags. I'm still in the learning curve of the stream service that I'm using right now for YouTube as well. So I just started using Streamlabs yesterday, which is why I'm able to do the dual camera today versus not being able to do it yesterday. Well, or last stream. I've been looking for software that is able to help me do it, and finally found something that fits my needs. And so I'm just on the learning curve to figure out how exactly to use it for what I want to use it for. Part of that is I need to figure out how to completely mute my iPhone so that's not giving feedback when I've got it in the point of view harness, and also have the microphone like clipped to my front. So that would be helpful, but we'll get there. Like I said, learning curve, and in some ways I need it to be has to be very user friendly because I don't really have any time to devote to it right now to figure out how to do those things. But like I said, live and learn. I did learn yesterday that everything has to be plugged in. My phone died towards the end of the stream, and so now I've got everything is plugged in so that there can be no phone dying while I'm actually streaming, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So, and then the couple other things are things that I'm going to have to do, and I was going to have to do no matter how I was streaming, but I need some better lights for just like nighttime streaming. And I don't know what the mic actually sounds like, but I think it sounds a little bit tinny from the stuff I've actually listened back to. So an upgraded mic will be on its way here, probably post Knit City. We had some surprise bills that needed to be paid before I can invest money into audio stuff when realistically the mic works well enough. But I want to get something that I can also plug into like my phone and things like that. So because my husband did actually suggest, of course, once I got back from Japan, that next time I'm in Japan I should do my fabric selection live, which would work really well. So right now it is 2:48 a.m. or 2:48 p.m. in Mountain Daylight Time in Alberta. And then Osaka, it's 5:48 a.m. So most shops open around 10 to 11 a.m. I think Tomato's 11 a.m. But it's another 5 hours. So for the East Coast folks, that's a little bit later. But for Mountain Time and Pacific Time, it's actually like couldn't be better. So I think I will do that, and then I can have live feedback from y'all for what I should be selecting for fabric. Obviously, I'll have final say, but you'll be able to come along for the experience of it. So I'm excited to be able to do that. Sorry, my husband's wandering around upstairs, and it sounded like he was coming downstairs, but it was the set of stairs above to the second floor. All right, we're almost there. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more cake cozies, and then I will be able to shuffle these to the sewing. And then I'll do the resurge of the ones that didn't pass QC off camera, because I do not feel like cursing at the serger on camera. Although I think at least I've gotten the tension figured out with the dark thread. It's ridiculous. Okay. More labels. So I don't forget them. I nearly forgot them. Previously what I was able to do, because I French seamed these, which meant that I enclosed the seam in itself meant that I could actually throw the label into the edge, the finishing edge, which obviously I can no longer do without the actual pinking, like little triangles sticking out of the exterior of the cake cozy, and that just doesn't look good. All right, there we go. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 6. 6 left. That's manageable. Okay. I need more clips. A big handful here so that I can just pull them off the desk. This Maneki no Neko fabric is so good. It's got like a dobby. So what I call a dobby is there's slubs in the warp and weft of the fabric. So it's got a really cool texture to it. And this is one of those fabrics that's got that cool dobby texture to it. I think that's the term for it. I don't actually know. That's just what I've been calling it. But oh yeah, it looks like the camera is actually picking that up. Now if it's transmitting it, I'm not 100% sure. But on my end, it is showing up. So you can see it in the warp and the weft of the actual fabric. I love the texture in it, and it feels so good. It's a fairly lightweight fabric, but the dobby, like the slubbing in it, makes it feel more durable, which is really cool, even though it's so light. Making like a shirt or a dress out of this would probably be amazing, like this style at least. Oops. That's just a thread that needs to be trimmed. There we go. All right, just about there. 4 more. No, 5 more. Yeah. This is number 5 of 5. Already daydreaming about our next trip to Japan. The kids are going to come with us, which will be amazing, I think. They're still pretty young, but I think they're going to have fun. It's always like everyone says, it's like the trip is almost always worth it. It's like it is a lot of work to take little kids places, but you won't regret it once you're actually there. Also, my husband really wants to go back. He hasn't been since 2017, and there has been a lot of changes since he has been there, surprisingly. There's a lot of updates to things for the Olympics, which obviously not a lot of people were able to witness. There's been a lot of work done in Tokyo for the JR lines, which are like the nationally subsidized lines, the government lines basically. And there's been so much work done on the actual JR lines. It's nuts. In the stations, trains, lines. It's crazy. So there was that. Narita Airport had a lot of work done to it. Yeah. Normally in the past we have done the JR pass, which is like a train pass that you can purchase for Japan, but I don't think that's worth it for us to do anymore. Realistically, we'll be using it, so we'll use the NEX, which is the express train. It's the Narita Express. It's the express train from Narita to Tokyo. It takes about an hour to an hour and a half from the airport into Tokyo itself, and vice versa, when you're leaving Tokyo to go to Narita. And then I think for this trip especially, we'll end up just using the bullet train down to Kyoto like once. And then from there we can just use local trains, which honestly sometimes is easier because I'm more used to like getting around on the local private lines. When I was there as an exchange student, I lived halfway between Kyoto and Osaka. So the train line that we used a lot was called the Keihan, which is basically a smash up of 2 kanji with their one of the different readings on them. But it was like a Kyoto, I think the first kanji for Kyoto, so Kyo, and then the kanji for Saka, and in Osaka, I think was the second kanji. And so their reading came together as Keihan. And that was the line that I used in and of here, Katashi. The university that I attended was Kansai Gaidai. I think that's something I neglect to say a lot, is that I was at Kansai Gaidai. So if you're a student heading there, I can hopefully help with any questions you have. Obviously, my information is nearly 15 years out of date. Even with my return trips, I don't know a lot about like the seminar houses. I don't know if they even have anything besides the one big dorm now that they've built or what. But I'm still here if you want someone to talk to. It's insane to see, like, because, so here's the thing. I went on exchange to Japan as an English major, which is hilarious because it actually came up in my exchange interview. It was like I had 2 Japanese universities and then I had Edinburgh. And when I was in my exchange interview, this is like one of the only questions I remember. It is the only question I remember them asking. And it was like, you've got 2 Japanese universities. And like Kansai Gaidai, I think there was only 3 placements from our university. So it was a highly competitive spot. And their question was like, hey, you've got 2 Japanese universities and then you've got Edinburgh. Like, what's up with that? And I'm like, well, I want to go on exchange. My like first choice is Japan. That's like top. I want to go to Japan. But realistically, Edinburgh is actually more useful for my degree if we're talking like credits and stuff like that. And I got my top choice for Japan, so they must have liked my answer or something else about the whole interview, because I'm sure there was better qualified students to take my spot. But it's also really interesting to like how many people go on exchange and then like what they do with it afterwards, and like who would think that me going on exchange would lead to this sort of thing, like a business completely revolving around Japanese fabric. I don't know. I think it's, personally, if I was seeing this outside and not from myself, I think it was a really cool situation. Because the thing about it too is I went on exchange in plans and hopes to maybe do JET program or go and teach English in Japan again as well. And at the time, that just, once I was done the exchange, that just did not interest me. I wanted to get my degree done and get on with stuff. And Dallas was here and all of that, so it just wasn't the right time for it. Now, if I had that option now, or if I applied now, I would probably go. But at the time, no. So this is a nice compromise. I don't have to live there. I like living in Canada. But I still get to go back to visit regularly, and hopefully more regularly again now. Given how you guys are racing my sales along, which I very much appreciate, I will need to go back more often than I originally planned. So that is a nice situation to be in. Okay, we have everything clipped, so now we can actually sew the hems on these grime guards and cake cozies. So I'm going to start with the cake cozies. We will chain piece them, so that means that we're going to run them through end to end. I need to actually turn my sewing machine on. That would be helpful. So part of this also helps to lock down the serging. We just kind of roll along here. And a front and back stitch on at the ends. And then let's continue. All right, so that dual camera from the phone looks like it's catching the sewing really, really well, and then the actual webcam can see me. Perfect. I don't think it could get much better than that. Unless, well, I eventually am going to get an overhead mount, but again, we need to clear out some of the bills, the surprise bills. It's like surprise bills always seem to come at once, and that's just what happened this summer. All right, we are. So once I am finished these, I do think I'm going to take a break. I will come back later this evening. My husband's taking bedtime duty. And so while he's putting kiddos to bed, I'm going to come back down and we will see where I'm at. Hopefully I'm able to transition into actually getting large box bags going, but I'll probably still be working on cake cozies and grime guards. Alright, and then I've got my bin of clips down here. We're just gonna shuffle those in so that I don't have too many clogging up the sewing table. Alright, get in there. So long here. Go, go, go. I've got some new Maneki Neko fabric from May as well. That is ridiculously adorable. It's like little dumpling cats. It's so cute. And I'm super excited to get into the lineup here. New fabrics from May won't be hitting the shop until after Knit City at this point. May apparently is not a good time for me to go. If I want to get fabrics into the shop right away, at least. Granted, it's been so I went in November and it's August now. So it's taking me about 9 months to get like a good chunk of the fabrics into the shop. So it takes time to like process these things. Okay, it needs to be pulled down just a bit to even that up. I love getting to these like smooth, just sail through and sew parts. This is my favorite part of this. Well, that's a lie. Going and picking the fabrics in Japan is obviously like my utmost favorite part. But the actual sewing is like up there. It might be tied. Because I wouldn't be sewing if I didn't enjoy it. Pretty sure I spun one out over here. There we go. Whew, I need to close my window. It's like the fresh air is nice, but it's actually getting cold now. Have a little bit more coffee. Even though the cream has scummed on top because it's so cold. Alright, pancakes. So yeah, if you're watching this after I record, please throw down in the comments what you think, what you would like to see actually for fabrics next. So next planned trip is for 2025. Basically what we're doing right now is I really want to run the Tokyo Marathon. Dallas does too. Dallas is my husband. So we're going to start applying next year for 2025. We are for sure going to Japan, but basically we're just going to wait to see if we're going to go to Japan in like January 2025 or if we're going to go to Japan in March 2025, March being when the Tokyo Marathon is. So if we get like, yeah, it'll just be depending if we get accepted into the marathon or not. We'll see. I think it's the Tokyo Marathon runs on a lottery system versus like a luck of the draw system. Well, I think the Disney runs also work on kind of a lottery. We were signed in with like 4 or 5 different devices when we signed up in April, and only mine ended up actually getting through. So everything else ended up having like over an hour wait. Can't even remember which device got through, if it was like the laptop or the phone or what. I had Dallas on a bunch of devices, like make sure you're there because whoever gets it can get it. It's actually a good reminder we need to sign our waivers for that event. Alright, so now we're into the grime guards, obviously. These are a little bit longer. did such a diligent count, and now we've had to throw things into timeout. I don't know how many things I have left to actually sew. So we're not going to do a count this time either, because I'm just like, the pile's pretty small. It'll be fine. I'll survive. I would have survived without a count originally, too. It's more just a curiosity thing. When I am doing, like, major production quantities, it is a lifesaver, though. And I'm talking like 50 bags a piece sort of thing, production quantities, or more sometimes. Depends on the day, depends on the year. Depends on me, and actually how much fabric I have. It's definitely side-eyeing my fabric last year, being like, oof, are we going to make it through this show season or not? And thank goodness Japan announced that they were going to open. So I was like standing at Knit City when they announced that they were going to open again in October. I think it was like October 11th. Because I still have a bit of fabric left, but I did not have another show season worth, for sure. I would not have had this good a year if I hadn't been able to get back to Japan in November last year. So I'm very glad for that announcement. And it was so smooth getting through Narita last year. It was amazing. I wish I'd been able to take a little bit better advantage of my trip last year rather than just like 4.5 days on the ground, like go, 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 go. Because it was so quiet. And now it's like, even in May, it was so busy. Because it's a lot of people catching up, right? One of my friends put it the best of like, it's the revenge travel. And that's exactly what it is. But, yeah, it would have been nice to be able to do like a few extra days in November, because there was a few people like me who were like, had just been waiting for everything to like trigger. But mostly it was just Japanese folk, which was awesome. Or Japanese residents. But that's okay. It is, however, why we're not going in May next time. In part because it's also just difficult for me to integrate those fabrics into the stock before show season, really. Alright, here's some of the big ones. We've got thread up here that needs to be trimmed. Go. Tick along here. I just realized I hope I still have bobbin thread right now. Whoops. So far so good, and I have another bobbin wound. Okay, we'll check it after this one, I guess, because I just realized this might be going a little bit too smoothly right now. No, we're still good. It's like, oh no, I've been on bobbin thread for like 6 grime guards. Because that's usually how it goes. It's like just ticking along, and then it's like out. So far so good. I probably jinxed myself though. Oh well, we'll deal with it when we need to deal with it. That is in the upside down spot. We do not want the label in the upside down spot. We want the label in the right side up spot, up here. Like that. There we go. Okay, stuff it underneath, start stitching, go. Oh. Well, the good news is at this point, the hard work of these is done, which is, now I just got to go in and cut elastics to the right length. And then the elastics just need to be pulled and tied, and then we'll stitch up the sides, which is exciting. All right, now we got a few more cake cozies again. somehow I started on cake cozies, then got into grime guards, and then finished with cake cozies for whatever reason. Who knows? That's okay. I don't. Doesn't really matter. Right, and then this one. Two more, and then we got to go back and sew everything on the other side, and then these will be ready for elastic and finishing. And then I'll research those other ones, and I will sew them down as well so that they're not in timeout until next year, because that's a lot of time what happens. And I need to get better about that. It's like timeout for like a day is more acceptable than timeout for like a year, because otherwise I start to forget what needs to be done and fixed with them. Alright, there we go, through the label, just about there. And now we flip and stitch the other way. Move all these clips off and into their bin. I love the sounds that they make together. It's just so good. Alright, there we go. I'm just going to turn this whole pile, and we're just going to go down the other side. Come here, my pretties. You're nearly ready. Alright. And then obviously I'll have to go through and clip in between each of them, but that can happen later. I have to say though, this machine, so I was saying that I really like the sound of the serger, and the serger does sound very different from this. But this machine is sounding healthier right now, which is interesting, because I don't know what's up. I'll take it though. Just keep behaving yourself, machine. Can you imagine if my machine went down in the middle of show production? Whew. Just as I'm talking about, like, everything needs to go pretty smooth for show production to actually happen, and then like the main machine breaks down, that would be extremely suboptimal. Little micro dogs on pink. It's such a good fabric. It's so cute. I think I've got a knot bag coming in this too, which is exciting. The reason I changed the piece is it's supposed to be more efficient with thread, and it also is definitely more efficient time-wise, because you're just like shoving each of these in between. And I do believe it is more efficient with thread, because when you pull it out, when you pull a piece out of the machine, you always are pulling way more thread than you need to as well. Whereas this way, you're just kind of shoving it through as soon as the feed dogs can catch the fabric without sewing them together, essentially. There we go, we're obviously on to grind guards here. Yeah, baby, that is a nice crisp hem on this one. You can barely even see the stitching on the other side. For all the issues the serger gives me, it just makes this still a far easier process for production. And that's why I want to also come in and like make my husband's hoodie, because I think I can do it. I think it would work really well if I can figure out how to actually make his hoodies, because then when he needs a new hoodie, you just get more fabric and you make it, instead of on this constant hunt for hoodies. And if I figure out how to make it up for him, then I can figure out how to make it for me. because my shoulders are so broad that most women's hoodies do not fit well in the sleeves, especially with set-in sleeves. They just look dumb and are uncomfortable, or I have to like size up so much that it just doesn't look good. So I'm hitting that point of like, okay, it's time to actually start making some of our clothes, like these very kind of specialty items. And I think I've got the serger down enough that I can at least fumble my way through it. I'll definitely have to do some tests to make sure that the tension is correct, blah, blah, blah. But I think I can do it. I think it's Elise Myers that says that she was born with a how hard can it be mentality. And I think that's a good way to do a lot of this, is how hard can it be? I'm sure I can figure it out. I've also got the advantage that I already know how to fit, or how the basics of how the garment comes together, especially a raglan, because it's very straightforward because it's just that angled sleeve in. So it's not like I'm trying to set a sleeve in a circle into like a straight line or anything like that. It's like angle to angle. I think the hardest part will be actually, well, A, making sure it fits, because I don't sew stuff to fit, and B, the hood. I think the hood is actually the most daunting part of it, so we'll see. Like I said, I think I'm going to take one of his favorite ones, one that he's worn out before. Like, it's worn out, he doesn't wear it anymore, and I think I'm going to draft the pattern from it, because that makes the most sense to me. Especially because I think the one that I'm thinking of has like the best pockets for phones and stuff like that, at least for him. So, all right, just gonna keep ticking along here. We're almost done, at least with these guys. And then I think I am still gonna go have a nap. And then, yeah. And I'll come back downstairs and I'll do the knot bags. And maybe we'll get something completely finished at some point today. To the last couple here, and then it's on to the last of the cake cozies. This sassy cat grime guard is gonna be adorable. Actually, anything out of this fabric is gonna be adorable. It's nuts how cute it is. Also very appropriate with Halloween coming up, even though it's on a white background. Because hi, black cats. And black cats in moons with stars, all of that. We're finally getting dark enough, early enough that we're able to see the stars again when we go outside. Which is super nice. Realize, okay, yeah, we've hit about the 2-hour point on the stream, which is what I've been averaging about an hour and a half to 2 hours. That's when I find that my energy peters out, typically for talking and sewing. But yeah, so we'll just finish these off and then I'll head out for a little bit. Talking to my husband about some of the equipment that I want, like if I have a good year this year, the stuff I'm going to look into purchasing, and one of them is a leather strap cutter. So I've got like the handheld one, but I really would like to get a hand crank, or preferably even an like electric machine one. Now the electric machine ones though are quite expensive now, so I don't know. And I feel like the hand crank would be good enough. So I'm watching for sales on them to Tandy just ran a really good sale on their tools, but I was not in the position to purchase it. So it's good to know when they run the sale though, because even if I have to wait until next summer, then I can, sort of thing. And I've been keeping an eye out for it, like on Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that, but there hasn't been anything yet. It's kind of a pretty specialized tool. There's lots of the like hand ones, but I don't need another hand one. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more to go. Now, or if the bobbin runs out. Whichever happens first, which actually the bobbin ran out back there. Quite a ways back there. Holy, okay. Back here, so. I knew it was going to happen at some point or another. We'll swap the bobbins, finish up, and then head out. I do love when it just ticks along like this so easily. So it's very, very nice. Alright, so one benefit is that even though it hasn't been sewn down, the clip shouldn't have to go back in because it's kind of been like pressed together and like kind of smushed through. So we should be good that way. Alright, come on. Pull the thread through. Alright. Go. Alright, and I should set up the bobbin actually to be winding. So one of my big awesome parts of this when I purchased this industrial is the fact that it actually has a bobbin winder on the side of it versus like having to take it all apart and wind it on top like a domestic machine. So I know I could have gotten a separate bobbin winder, but you know, use what you have when you have it. I could still technically use a separate bobbin winder because it would be nice to not have to worry about it. I tend to forget to wind bobbins occasionally, although I've been really good this summer, so knock on wood, I continue to do so because it does make life easier. All right, there we go. We're back to where we had to stop. So I think we're down to something like 8 now. The Maneki Neko. So I know we're nearing the end. So thank you for your patience. If this is something that you enjoyed, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share with any friends you think that might enjoy this as well. Next round of stuff that I'm planning is hopefully going to be... I'm going to try and finish up the Grime guards and cake cozies today, at least the sewing portion of it currently. And then I'm going to try and move on to finishing the cuts for large box bags. So that includes their interiors and interfacing for the current round. And then we'll go in and we'll sew both the ones that I'll bring you with me to Knit City, as well as the ones that Paula Bad Anna's would like. So that is the next goal. So tonight, hopefully, Grime guards and cake cozy finish, which will be the dark stitching as well as knot bags actually, which I forgot about. So that'll probably spill over a little bit tomorrow, but we'll be mostly sewing for the rest of the today. So almost there. And I don't know if that sewing right now counts the resurging of the white or not. I'll decide how long they'll stay in timeout. I think they might stay in timeout until next week, because there's only a few of them and I can like finish them off super easy before my friend comes. So I need to make sure that my friend can come and actually help with the elasticing. That might be a useful portion of this. All right, last one. Hope you guys all enjoyed the live stream. Thank you so much to everyone who joined me again. And I will see you again at some point tonight. Thanks so much and have